What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. It is Tuesday, September 22nd, and I am joined today with special guest host, the one and only, the Langlandia. How you doing?
Hey, girl. What up? I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm a bit tired, a bit sore. I've been helping a buddy remodel his entire house, and so yeah.
You're a good friend.
It's fun. I mean, I was telling Chewy yesterday because you were talking about it, and I was like, I used to do all this stuff back in like middle school and high school and like mission trips each summer. So it's like refreshing that memory. And then, maybe one day when I eventually buy a home, I can do it myself and not pay someone a ton of money to rip carpet out and put floors in and paint the walls and ceilings.
Okay. I don't have that drive personally.
Saves a little bit of money.
That's true. HRB, how's it going? Man?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Chewy is a little bit under the weather this week, so Lang is filling in for Mr. Chewart today. Still up in the air whether or not we'll do tomorrow. I don't know if we will do tomorrow's stream, but we're here tonight. We got some spicy topics on the menu.
Spice and everything nice.
Yeah, kind of plays into the title a little bit. Not enough cooks in the kitchen. But before we get into that, I want to see, because you told me a little bit. You teased me with it.
I did.
I want to see what's on your desk.
Those of you that watch my stream, all 9 of you, I built a keyboard for Mike on Friday, Mike of Novel Keys, and it's one of the most enjoyable builds I've had so far, and I really do love this keyboard. So what I'm currently using is Mike's board, and I need to send it back to him, but I snuck a day or two extra to use it, and I'm using the Timberwolf.
Oh my gosh.
With Cafe.
That board is so obnoxious. I forgot that thing existed for a while until someone was talking about it, and man, yeah, it's so obnoxious.
Dude, the red is great. Like, this camera is trash, but the red is awesome on it. The ano's good. It sounds lovely. When I got it, I opened the box and I was like, oh, that's weird. And I sent Mike a note. I was like, hey man, there's no plate. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of weird. And there was just this like 60% cluster felt plate, like literally felt. And so I read through the group by thread, and there's one note at the bottom that's like, plate ? And he's like, yeah, no, I designed it to not have a plate. And I was like, Mike, there's just not a plate. There's this little felt thing, but that's it. So like, we were both like, oh, okay. He ordered it and he totally even forgot. He's like, I don't know. Like,
I don't know. I just bought it. It looked cool. I just bought it.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, that's one of those boards where it's like, that is exactly what that person wanted for themselves, and they unleashed it upon us.
I think it's wonderful. I'm not even kidding. I actually really like it. The 2U keys to the right of the 60%, I'm still not sold on
Yeah.
because one of them is automatically mapped to enter. So I have ANSI enter, 2U delete, vertical enter. Okay.
Interesting.
That's okay. Anyways, what's on your desk, Eric?
Well,
Sorry, Osiris, doxed.
no, it's okay.
His name's not
Okay.
Eric.
My name's Eric, by the way. Um, I took off the Sirius, and I still wanted to go linear. Still wanted to have that palm feel, and I brought back the Bauer. I was using this a couple weeks ago. Bauer with Hyperfuse Origins. It looks
Salt.
fantastic. So I love it. It's heavy, feels good, looks good, sounds good, the whole nines. Oh,
I see what you did there. The whole nines. Good. I think the thing that surprised me the most about this board is the sound. It sounds awesome. Like the little felt plate and the zero gap inside of the case. There's like no clearance at all. It's just PCB,
interesting.
and it's really a narrow chamber. So
Is
it sounds wonderful. I like it a lot.
is it like super loud?
No, I mean it's not like here. Let's just do this. So no, stop. Okay. So it's not like super loud, but it's like it's crisp. Like I like it. You know,
Yeah.
I like it. And those are silk yellows. They're a
Ooh.
little light for my taste, considering I type on 100-gram switches, but could choose worse.
Yeah, yeah. You and Chewy are on the thick boy springs, the heavy
Yeah,
boys.
got to get them sausage fingers. You know.
Oh, you forgot to talk about we are indulging
Oh,
in adult beverages.
alcohol.
What are you
As
consuming?
as an alcoholic, um, I have High West Rye, courtesy of Moon, for me lubing his switches. So I lubed him switches, and he was like, "What do you want for it?" I was like, "Why don't you just buy me some booze?" And so that's what he did.
Hey, that's not a bad deal. I am enjoying a glass of Glenfiddich Reserve Cask. Yeah, it's pretty
You were,
good.
you were saying that it's hard to get that. What
Apparently,
is the story behind that?
okay, so last year my parents went to Spain, and they
Mm,
know the basically whenever they go on a trip, my dad always tries to buy me a bottle of whiskey because he knows I really enjoy it. Um,
see,
but he couldn't find anything like they couldn't find anything crazy, and so they picked this up. And apparently, you can only get the this specific reserve cask at like international airports or something like that.
in the duty free section.
Yeah,
Damn.
I don't know, but it's a big bottle
Uh,
as well. It's a liter bottle,
Ooh,
so
so that's a bar bottle
mhm,
because managing them bars through my life, everything comes in the liter, not the 750 or the 175. You get the sexy liter for the rail.
that even
Even
liter, even liter.
fucking liter. Give me quarts. This is America.
Well, it's our measurement systems are so hilarious.
It's so stupid. What was it? It was us and what, Lithuania or something that used imperial, or some crazy ass Azerbaijan, I think is what it was. And even they no longer use imperial. I think we're literally the only country left on earth that uses imperial.
Well, it's like um I'll like ask Alexa like when I'm cooking something like, "Oh, how many ounces? Like how much does this in ounces weigh?" She's like, "Oh, it doesn't equate 1 to 1. Each liquid weighs different." And I'm like, "This is why we should just use grams." Like screw it. Everyone
I've
just use
actually I've actually
grams.
taken I've taken to and switched from cup measurements to gram measurements for baking
Mhm.
as much as I can in recipes.
Yep.
So that was a that was a thing that happened because of the Great British Bake Off. which has recently resumed their season. So
Ooh, fancy.
excited for reality and trash television. Kind of
Dude,
my jam.
TV's back. Sports is back. Football's back. Kinda.
I am not consuming the NFL anymore, actually. So that one didn't change for me, unfortunately, or fortunately, which however you want to count it.
A little bit of
I
both.
I assume the Browns are losing. I assume that the Cowboys are going to choke at some point. The Packers will be self-indulgent. Everyone will still hate Tom Brady and the Patriots, even though he's not on their team anymore. And Pete Carroll's still an asshole. So, all things as they should be.
Very true. Very true. Still early on, so the Browns did they did lose their first game, but then won their second game. Granted, it was against the Bengals, so not
Yeah,
really an impressive
I don't,
one.
I don't know if I've been alive for the Browns to win an opener. I don't, I don't know if they've done that. Just don't win opening games.
Yep.
Am I a soothsayer, gnarly Charlie? For you, I may be. Anyways, it's your show, and I'm a guest here. You know what is not a soothsayer and actually has tangible things are the lovely products and services that support this stream.
Yes, that is very true. Very true. And we'll hear more from these later on. But go ahead and check
I
out.
thought you did it at the top. My bad.
Oh, it's okay. No. We do a little teaser at the beginning, and then we go full in depth at the end. So
Oh,
plays into the cards. So switchmod.net/Mechs on deck, Dixie Mech, Project Keyboard, and Canon Keys. Go check those guys out. Those links there in chat from the gracious Nightbot. Using those links helps us out. We'll talk about what they're running here soon. So, but yeah, today we have kind of an interesting, like, introspective conversation about some things. Of like talking about the state of the community and kind of like what we want to see moving forward, and maybe how some things could help facilitate the insane growth that we've seen over the past probably 2 years. I would say it's kind of been steadily exploding.
yeah. Almost on an exponential graph too. Like it has not been a linear steady climb. It's been like a
Yeah.
kind of nuts.
It,
So
it's been insane. But first, I know you wanted to talk about some things with SA. Signature Plastics SA.
So this was an interesting thing that came up the other day. I actually wasn't really paying attention too much, and I popped into Top Clack in one of the channels, and someone had linked a conversation where they were talking about convex space bars that were shorty for SA, which currently, so the most current set, not shilling, that I have out there is an SA set, and I explicitly directly asked Signature Plastics about mini bars, like 2U, 225, and 275 specifically. Do you have convex small bars? And they were like, nope, the shortest we go is 3. And I was like, cool, that's pretty standard, whatever. We'll just use, row 3 or whatever. And SA Dual Shot has renders of the convex shorty bars, which I thought, okay, so either Dixie bought the molds or Signature Plastics is like, oh, this is like 2 sets that have recently asked about this. Not that Dixie hasn't been talking to her for months because he's a planner. So I was like, well, that was 3 weeks ago. What's changed? So I asked again, just to make sure. And Signature Plastics, SA space bars, 225 and 275, they will now have convex bars. So any SA fans out there, you actually get actual space bars for your Alice and kind of funky support, split spacebar support, which is great.
Yeah, which is pretty freaking cool, because it has always been weird that they didn't provide those, that they just were like, nope, we're good. Because it's like, it's not that hard to really make the mold. It's not like Signature Plastics is making tons of molds now. Like, people aren't doing crazy things with SA as of late.
Or it's not like we don't have 2 DCS sets a year. Like it's not a popular set. Like
Yeah,
uh,
so the fact that they hadn't done that yet with as popular as boards like the Alice have been over the last couple of years, it was surprising that they weren't trying to hop on that train before now. Um,
yeah.
but
But I'm like the nerd in me is very curious about timeline
mhm.
because like it's August 24th that I asked Melissa about it. There was that whole weirdness with White Wolf, and then you know again Dixie's a planner, so it probably was already planned to launch. But then all of a sudden we had SA Dual Shot. So I'm curious of like were the molds going to be owned by someone else or exclusive to Dixie, and like now they're not, or I don't know. I'm just all the possibilities are kind of floating around in my brain. At the end of the day, though, we've got those bars for SA people now, which is exciting. The one thing that I know we will not have, and they do not have plans to do, is a 6U. I immediately got shot down on that one. They were like, "Nope, we have no plans." Like, cool.
Yeah, because isn't that I can't remember which one it is, but there's like a space bar that they specifically make that's for a proprietary signature plastics like made board.
Yeah,
But
it's
they won't
weird
do a
too.
6.2. They won't do a 6U.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I understand, I guess, sort of whatever. But I mean, having multiple boards that support 6U, I never ever choose 6U if I don't have to,
Yep.
ever, ever. But there are people that do want it and do use it, and with as large as the community is getting, I assumed that maybe at some point they would support it. But and this is not a shot at them. They are a small family owned business that is surviving during a pandemic. I am not about to talk shit on them. That said, it's just interesting to me that it's like, nah, we're not going to do that. I'm like, okay, good for you.
Yeah. It's
At
like
least you know who we are.
I wonder if they have like a list and like every time someone asks for something like that, they just put a tally mark and
Yeah, and that
then
after it gets to a
at a
certain
certain
tipping
point,
point, they're like, all right, we'll fucking make
yeah,
it.
we'll make all these people happy. Um, which would be that would be pretty funny. But it is exciting to see that they are doing those space bars, so that way Alice people and I'm sure some ortho, some smaller board people are excited about that as well.
For sure.
Different split space bars because that's on SA, not having the convex spacebar is a much bigger deal than like a GMK or
Or
anything
cherry, where
else.
you can angle it towards the
Yeah.
way your thumb is hitting it. Like that that all of a sudden flat toe, I'll call it, of R3 and your thumb. Like there's no way to angle it so that your thumb hits it like in line. It's just I'm hitting this corner,
Yeah.
which I don't really notice too much, but there is a marked change if you take like a row 4 key on a split and flip it so that it's like angled to you. So I'm assuming a convex bar would feel nice. Anyways, I could talk about space bars all day because I'm a nerd.
what?
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 Uh,
I'm gonna.
what is that question?
Is
Archetype. Okay, so
is there an
next,
inside joke that I'm not familiar with between you
I'm
and
I'm 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 very confused about two buttholes though.
also no bands, please?
No, it's Mech from Archetype. I just got the 808 keys today. The set of 4 little speakers he made. Um, oh my god, they're so good. They're so perfect. And I think decline. I think that is literally what shitposting is. Yes. So insert clever transition.
Okay. All right. Well, so getting into the meat of the topic today, the title subject. Is there not enough cooks in the kitchen in keyboards? Basically meaning we have a lot of people in this community and
Count it.
Keep Noop, thank you for the 420 bits. Appreciate it. As always. No, there's a lot of stuff that it seems like there's a lot of stuff going on in the community, but there's there's a lot of stuff that is just kind of like, hey, I'm here in terms of interest checks, but not very much goes to group buy. And if it does, it takes a long time. And there's very few people running it.
Count it.
DD
No,
Klein, thank you for the 69 bits.
I think the thing that surprises me the most is, and it's very timely because I think Chewy had intended to already talk about this,
Mhm.
but it was his thing. He brought it up, and you very nicely asked if I would come on the show tonight in Chewy's place. There are not many people that step in or could step in the event that something happened. Like, I'll go back to our original conversation about SA and Signature Plastics. If they had gone under because of COVID, and I know that they were closed and not operating for a while, who now makes SA? We're going to go to Mechs, and that's okay quality, I guess, but for literally the same price. I quoted with both, and it does not make sense to use Mechs, just for the record. And then there's what, Dama. I mean, there's just immediate quality dumps. So, like, that one menu's gone, and a whole segment of people's favorite key sets, which admittedly is a smaller section, is gone. Right?
Yeah.
So that, I don't know. Are there enough cooks in the kitchen? I'm concerned. The answer is no. There absolutely is not. Even though it seems like we're inundated with new vendors, we're inundated with new key set designs and all this stuff. But if there's a bottleneck of the cooks making the food, I don't care how many ingredients you bring into the kitchen, you can't make enough food to feed all your guests. If we're going to continue this metaphor.
Well, and it's one of those things too. It's like keycaps are a great example because you look at, SA, like you said, if they were to fold tomorrow, who would pick up that slack? Who would come in and take it? Even from cherry profile sets, we've seen recent struggles from Infinity. We've seen
no problems. Nope, everything's perfect.
I mean, JTK, some people don't know this, but JTK does not own machines. They take orders and they have it manufactured at a third party and then do it in batches. I know EPBT, I think, is getting new machines up and running, which is causing delays. So it's like, if GMK leaves while they are currently having issues right now, what would happen? Like, it drops off of a cliff in terms of quality, which is it's crazy to think that this community is so powerful where we are selling thousands upon thousands of sets every month, but we're not necessarily pushing to try to find more things or there's not new companies emerging. Like, I know Key Creative has tried to with Cat, but they've had their own handful of issues.
And it's not easy to be a consistent manufacturer, to make small things at an inconsistent material perfectly every time. Like, it's very hard to do. And that's why there's that bottleneck at manufacturers. And people have pointed out in chat that I think very correctly, it's even worse at the board level in terms of machining time. Because, and I wonder, I think maybe this is a secondary thought that I'm having now, but there really are extremely few manufacturers that consistently make boards that we buy. Like, I mean, that's one of the better kept secrets of the hobby, or better kept secrets of the hobby, is how few manufacturers of actual keyboards there really are. So, I mean, if a certain manufacturer were to go down, or two big ones went down, you'd have a board drought for literally years. Like, I mean, tons of people wouldn't be in the hobby anymore.
Yeah, it would be extremely hard if.
And yes, Salvin, there is only one manufacturer that I heart truly, and that's Salvin CNC. Machine goes burr.
Machine does go burr. Love Salvin, love his streams. But he's a perfect example of what I feel like might need to be happening more in the community, is people who have these. We have a lot of people in this community that are extremely smart, extremely driven, and have skill sets, or maybe know people that have skill sets that could possibly get into doing this and make it turn it into a lucrative. And then all of a sudden we have more vendors, more manufacturers making higher quality products. Because the big thing is, and we've seen this with time and time again with boards that are tried to be manufactured outside of China, whether it's Europe or North America, quality's just not there. And if the quality's there, it's
And the
like,
prices.
yeah, price is crazy, or it just takes forever.
And I don't personally have a ton of visibility to PCBs, but Wilba's in chat right now.
Legends.
That also has to be a bottleneck. That takes an extremely specific set of skills, right? A particular set of skills. And I don't even know how many PCB manufacturers there are, right? I can think of a handful of excellent PCB designers, and there's many that design pretty good PCBs, but where the hell are they getting made? I don't know if there's a large manufacturer that specifically does this. And yeah, electronics are pretty ubiquitous at this point, but how many are willing to do that one-off kind of stuff to test and prototype and all that stuff? I just don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and it's also, it goes back to what we've talked
okay, so
about on.
plenty of manufacturers will be confirmed. Just throwing that out there.
But it's one of those things that it kind of goes back to what we've talked about before, of like, now is the time for keyboard enthusiasts to kind of put themselves on track to be the ones that are making the decisions for the future of this hobby, right?
Mhm.
Because at any point, with what we saw with Glorious coming in, and then they started the trademark thing, there's nothing stopping a big name company, or really just someone from another company with a ton of money, to just come in and buy out someone, and say, oh, now you
Yeah.
only work for me. And then we're screwed.
Yeah, that sucks. Consider supporting Salvin. Keep quality alive. I love you, Salvin. No, it's just I this all kind of is a circular conversation for me, because we've talked about before, like, is there a central repository of knowledge that exists, right? Like, we talked about the barrier of entry to the hobby being just not knowing what the hell you want to choose and experience. And it's all very like tribal and colloquial on how to figure out how to make a keycap set, or why do you choose certain kitting. you know the people that design boards are basically literal geniuses, and work in a software that is Greek to me. And how do you learn how to do that? Either you teach your damn self, or you go to AIO3's guide. I don't know how many like exceptionally curated how-tos exist on how to do the things that these very few chefs in our kitchen do, is kind of my point.
Yeah. Well, and because it's also in that design aspect is in a pivotal moment as well, because these people, you have people who are, maybe they're design students in college, maybe they're fresh out of high school, or maybe fresh out of college. The hobby is at a point now where you can legitimately make a career off of designing keyboards. Yeah. And are we at the point where we can start supporting that and getting these people money? Like, does it take a keyboard being $50 more? Because obviously the money's there, right? Like let's look at an Iron 165, sells for $475 group by price, $2,000 on the aftermarket. Like,
Or if it's a
there's
polycarbonate
some wiggle.
4000, no
Yeah,
big deal. It's fine.
there's some wiggle room in there. I think people would be okay probably paying like, 500 or 525, and then that person being able to make a livable wage, and having a little bit more of a drive to produce more and innovate on their own designs.
Yeah.
Rather than it just being a hobby.
No, and I completely agree that there then in and of itself is already a problem, though, because Pylon 7 is bringing up a good point about how a lot of people in the community are an engineer of one type or another during the day. There happens to be a higher preponderance of engineers in this community, whether it's software engineers, they're mechanical engineers, they're electrical engineers. They all kind of seem to fall into this category if they're into keyboards, right? So those skills do transfer very well. However, if you're, you know, unless you have a vendor to prop you up or some money, like, and you want to make keyboards, like, you're going to sit on potentially frozen money for a long time until that product is delivered. Or, you have to do enough transactions to get enough history so that they don't freeze your money for more than a few days or weeks so that you can pay the manufacturer and like live still. So like the barrier to entry then doesn't become knowledge anymore. If you're trying to transition into, design studio or vendor or work with vendors, or if you don't have a vendor to work with, say you're in a remote country or a less popular area, um, now you've got yet another bottleneck of, well, I don't have the means necessarily to do this without potentially a loan or capital or something.
Yeah. Well, and DD Decline brings up interesting thing talking about software dev skills don't help design boards at all, but he could just go write code in QMK. Is the community at a point now where someone can offer a service to where they just port boards all day? Like they just port boards to QMK and VIA, and like, because that's something that, a designer or a group I runner may pay a minimal amount to get that service and have it, make sure it's done. It comes with a guarantee, because there's not very many people doing it, and the people that
Yeah.
do it, it's another thing where it's a hobby.
That's it. That's another thing. There are not many cooks in the kitchen. Like there are a handful of people that are responsible for programming the overwhelming majority of the keyboards that we all use. Right? Obviously, one of the more forefront is someone like a Merlin who's helping to port things to QMK or to VIA. Um, we've got Wilba and Olivia as well. We're obviously working on VIA. And then Code Coffee Code, or is it Coffee Code Coffee? I always forget. But she's in the behind the scenes of QMK as well. There's this handful of people that make the keyboard world work. That if they just weren't in the hobby anymore, or God forbid something happened to them, this huge segment of the hobby is just non-functional at its current capacity.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's terrifying. Like, that is absolutely terrifying to think about the fact that if say like big one, this wouldn't happen, but say for instance tomorrow Mike decides to absolve Novel Keys and says, I'm done, I'm out. He pulls a Bennigan's, right? He goes to
Old
try to
Garden, a
get
shit
investment.
stain of a restaurant company. Oh my God.
Well, do you remember what happened with them? They went to go try to get an investment. The bank was like no, and he was like, all right, I'm closing all my restaurants, and he did.
Yep.
Like, someone could do that. Like, if Novel Keys did that, the community would be in a much worse position.
Yeah.
Than it was the day before. And it's like, what are we doing as a community to try to make sure that we're not too reliant on the people, the few people that make the community function?
Mm-hmm.
And because I think there is the narrative of, oh, it's just a hobby, oh, it's just a community. But I think in order for that to actually be functional, you have to have people who are like, this hobby is their livelihood. And that has started to happen with some vendors, but
Well,
I
mean, there are literal millions of dollars every month spent by this community. Like, it's large enough to support people's full-on livelihood. And there are many that can attest to that. So, I mean, yes, I think we're at a point where we can support people. And also, Salvin brought up a good point. There are many who believe they can cook well. Okay.
Very true.
There are fewer chefs, which is fair, but that also fits into, I think, a very important thing where there needs to be tiers for accessibility. Not everyone can be Salvin, Keycult, TGR, Adventure, Smith and Rune if 180 is crazy, right? Not everyone can be that entry level FR4 sandwich keyboard either, or wants to be, but I know plenty of people who would be upset physically if they heard that I spent $250 on a keyboard, and I definitely spend more than $250 on a keyboard. So, like, the ability to enter at a level you want and stay and play at that level and have different varying levels of quality is important, I think, in terms of keyboards, key sets, quality, all that. But even still, at each individual tier, there's this bottleneck of few people that do that thing well, right? So again, to use his analogy, some think they cook well at the budget tier, and they simply don't, right?
No, absolutely. And Salvin brings up an interesting point of saying, look, this is a double sword. Giving the good vendors and makers all of this traffic and work allows them to invest and make good things happen and not live on small
Correct.
margins and have to skimp. But
Correct.
I think my point, and I think what we're talking about is the fact that the community has grown so large that there's more pie for people to eat from, and that there is maybe slivers of people who can build up their community and build up to be not necessarily the next Dixie or Mike, but
Hmm?
they can operate on a level that maybe is comfortable for them and still be a contributing member to the community and push it forward. And that way
Absolutely.
we're not relying so heavily on the top down.
Well, that's fair. It's also interesting for me to think about like volume, because like if I just take say North American or American vendors, however you want to parse that out,
Mm-hmm.
and I think about size, right? The people that are moving the most product right off the top of my head are your novel keys in terms of all things keyboard, outside of maybe even chassis, but they're doing that now too. Um, and Dixie, and then you've got a very close second or tier with your Canon keys, who is arguably moving into that first tier spot. Your Project keyboards. You've got smaller Canadian vendors that are playing in that smaller, but all of them have access to these high quality vendors still. Like if you're going through a GMK, right? Or if you're working with this amazing manufacturer in China and you're willing to pay that money and you've got a good design. Um, so that too, I think, is a beneficial thing that you have hobbyists that are playing that smaller market and taking some of those things from the larger vendors who maybe don't have the bandwidth for it. Um, and also the people that live and breathe and focus solely on keyboards.
Yeah.
I don't have a takeaway from that. I just found that interesting as we were talking. I was like, oh, it's an interesting thought that smaller levels of vendors and larger levels of vendors are using the same manufacturers. Therein again creating almost another bottleneck.
Well, and I think it's important for those people who are smaller to be able to kind of do their thing, because sometimes and what we've seen is that smaller level vendors will create something that is, you know, changes a trend in the community, right? Key Cult, when they first started, was just Riot trying to do a group buy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, look at TGR, right? Like those were always small group buys. TGR never had a big want to be a giant, player in the community. And they're not. Like in reality, if you look at how many boards they've made, it's a very small number. It's
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that there are more Polarises out in the wild than there are TGRs as a
I'm
whole.
certain there are. Like,
Like
there's got to be. I mean,
so,
what was it? The 7V or whatever it was. They sold like 2,800 boards. Like, was the one that ran on Canon keys or not Canon keys on novel
novel
keys?
keys, yeah, the 7V.
They sold like 2,800 fucking boards. Like, that's already more boards than I think TGR's ever made total. Like in one group buy for one board. Like, it's nuts to me.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
But
And
I mean,
go
no,
ahead.
you go.
I was gonna say
It's your
X.
show. I've been talking all fucking night.
No, you're good. You're good. Also, I didn't thank Disco Crocodile. Thank you for the 6 months. Appreciate it, my dude. X
We
Deeds
love you, girl. Absolute legend.
X Deeds brings up the classic, nothing in stock, always group buys. Can't get in on it. Can't get anything. All you can get is keycaps, which is interesting. And I
If
don't.
you can get keycaps.
Yeah, true. I just don't know. I don't know what the next step is, right? Like we've seen novel keys do it with the NK65 at the low level. Canon Keys keeps trying to do it more and more, but it's hard to get
Mhm.
a huge amount of numbers for the Brutalist line. They just ran the Brutal 60 as an in stock. Every time they do it, it's in stock, but they don't last a long time. It's just, do you have any ideas? I'm actually interested. Do you have any ideas of how we can get to that next step of having at least some semblance of things in stock?
So, I want to address one thing, and then I have an answer for you, at least a little bit. Um, Salvin points out supporting the people who have proven that they're consistent and do good work, and continue to support them. Um, he also is pointing out that there are people who have joined solely because there's money to be made, which is especially in America. And I know that Salvin is in Belgium, which we have mildly different cultures. Um, it's capitalism all day here, baby. Um, for good or the terrible. Um, there absolutely are going to be people that do that. Um, but the ones that then stay and continue to provide a good service, I'm not afraid of new vendors per se. I'm I'm still leery of them, but I think it's important that we support new vendors that come in the hope, new vendors, new makers, new manufacturers, whomever it may be, in the hope that they can become a service to us. If they burn us, fuck off, deuces, I'm out. Um, but anyways, it's folks like me are in a position where occasionally I can lose some money and, I don't lose my house. Not everyone is in that same position. So, um, you asked a question and it's gone in my brain. Oh, um, how can we get to a point where we have more in stock?
Yes.
One thing I think is, there's a tipping point in the community, right? A lot of vendors did that time where they and manufacturers, Salvin can attest to this, where they were doing both their hobby and their day job, and they were killing themselves, working 80, 100 hours a week, whatever it was. And then eventually, finally, it made financial success to tip over into being a full-time vendor. I think the process for coming to in-stock group buys of keyboards is the same. So I would suspect that after you sell a certain number of products, or you're able to have a business plan that is set up for doing something like that, if that's what you want to do, because not every vendor wants to carry that kind of inventory and take that kind of risk for 8 months out in the future. Um, GMK is kind of like a bank. It's like I send you my 100 grand to make these caps, and eventually I will get this thing where I don't have to sit without money because I gave you the cost and I took, the profit on it. Whereas I'm sending money I did not collect from the community. This is my money all to a manufacturer to make this thing that I want to sell in stock and make quick money on when it returns. That is a much more intense risk than keycaps. So it has to get to a point where you can take that risk and not completely go under. So I fully suspect that will take a while.
Yeah.
Like for Dixie as an example, to be able to do an in-stock sale of 100 Bowers, you know, I mean, he has to have the 50 grand to sit on to be able to just say, here's 50 grand to make these boards or whatever it is. And then also to be okay if that 50 grand return never comes or
Yeah.
comes 3 months too late. Right. So that's where the concern about doing in stock, which is why in stock sales like the Brutal line has worked. It's less costly to him to do that. And he's done smaller runs initially and it's kind of built up, right? It's been a slow creeping. Same thing with Mike. He had never done an in stock sale and all of a sudden he had 500 keyboards that were entry level. He had been the biggest vendor for what, 4 years, 3 years? Like it takes time. But I think that probably is the next step in the
Mm.
evolution of who our vendors are because they hear this. I promise you, way worse
Yeah.
than we as streamers do is I can never fucking buy anything because there's nothing in your store. They probably get that 10 times every single day, if not twice that. So I'm promised that eventually they want to have in stock stuff.
Yeah. Well, plus there's the whole
So
aspect of them trying to figure out exactly how much to order, right? Because there's tipping points on either side. You don't want to order too much and then it sits forever, and then you got all this money tied up on these,
mhm.
1,000 key sets that are just sitting in a warehouse. But you don't want to buy too few, and then you have the issue like Mike, for instance, with the 500 where they sold out in 2 minutes, and he's like, "What the hell's going on?" So it's like it's hard to do this because there's not, and I've talked about this before. The margin percentages are much lower in like keyboards than what you
Yeah.
would think of like a normal retail or normal, you know, equivalent service would be, right? Like you know that your Jordans that you buy for $175 don't cost $100. They cost like maybe $25 to make. Like keyboards is nowhere near on that margin percentage. So it's not like there's a ton of money, a
Yeah.
ton of overflow for these people in order to reinvest and do things in stock as quickly.
Now, sorry, my brain is just going because now, like, I'm trying to equate like risk, reward, value, all this stuff, and I think it's interesting that Salvin is in the chat right now because, and I want to have like an off stream conversation with Salvin about failure rates of keyboard parts and what is an acceptable rate because, as you said, your your overhead profit on keyboards is far less than one would assume because you have to purchase out additional percentages of what is sold to account for B stock failure rate. You know, something happened to it in shipping. QC was shit across the ocean. And so now I've got this terrible product I can't sell or give to the person that already paid $400 for it. You know, so I have to eat that cost on all these, say 20% or 25% in some instances of additional keyboards I had to buy just to cover the ones that are shit. So, and hopefully you get to sell them as B stock, but sometimes you just can't, right? So, um, or C stock, like I've heard some physicists are going out as C stock, and I'm really interested to see what a C stock board is. Um, anyways, I find that very interesting, and I'm curious on what is the allowable percentage of failure from a manufacturing standpoint, because having worked for an engineering company before, you know, we were working with a manufacturer in Poland who at the time their problems per million parts was 49. You know, where they had 49 reject parts out of every million parts they were making. And it's like that is much lower than the percentages that we're talking about with just keyboards. So I'm just I don't know, I find that all very interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because that's I totally just lost my train of thought. Um,
Sorry, I'm taking us on a fucking wild
no,
ride
no,
today
no.
with my brain. Sorry, man.
I know. I got it back. I found it. Because this is something that you've brought up before of like, are our expectations from products too high? Because you know, with things at different price points, it's like people want the same quality from a board that costs $150 as a board that costs $600.
Yeah.
And that's hard on manufacturers, and I'm sure Salvin can attest to this of like of having such a little wiggle room for margin of error. You basically can't have a single blemish, and it's got to be rough. It's got to be stressful.
I we talked about it a little bit at the beginning. You know, a certain keycap manufacturer uh, had a recent set run that was designed by me, and there was some quality control issues associated with said set. Um, and it's interesting how I in my brain parse things that are acceptable and certain things that are unacceptable. Okay, and certain aspects of the issues that happened with that key set were completely unacceptable, and other things were like, okay, like you paid $100 for all the plastic on planet Earth, like it's fine. As opposed to, you know, I'll qualify this by saying if I order a Brutal 60 and it has some slight inconsistency with the outside anodization, okay, fine. If I spend the money on a key cult, I expect the key cult experience, right? I don't expect those levels of quality to be the same. So if the community is clamoring for absolute perfection in the most incredible anobath on a board that in stock costs me $160, whatever it is, it's probably even less. Like, okay, like, come on. I don't know if our expectations are too high. I think our expectations need to be calibrated more appropriately
Yeah,
is more correct.
yeah. Be more gradual with the increase in costs or the decrease in costs, because like you said, there's a lot of issues with different keycap companies right now. Some of them I think are a little bit overblown, and I think when you start to have like when one person finds one thing or two things,
Yeah,
then
and everybody
everyone
follows.
hunts. Yeah, they hunt for every little
Can we,
thing.
in the interest of doggy piling on an issue, can I have one quick second to ask about everyone's fucking 3 key in their GMK sets? Their goddamn 3 pound key. That fucking hash sign is shit. And it's always been bad, and no one says a goddamn thing, and it drives me nuts. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills that everyone's still like, GMK never had any issues before this. Like, fuck off. There's one right there on everyone's board, and nobody gives a shit. And it pisses me off every time. Oh my God. You guys, it's not perfect. It's never been perfect.
No,
Get fucked if you think it was.
I mean,
Like, seriously.
space bars have always been a little bit warped. They've always had a little bit of
Oh,
a tilt to them. You know, the different keys, random sets have always been a little bit fatter than others. I mean, it's a boutique product. Like at the end of the day,
yeah.
it is a boutique product manufactured by a single manu, and they're going to eventually have issues. They're going to have some inconsistencies, but for the most part, I would say it's pretty freaking good. Like it's
Yeah, and then then it's expectation again too. If the first keycap set I ever purchased cost me $140 and it's almost perfect, maybe I'm more upset than if it's the 10th keycap set I've purchased and I understand what the expectation is, right? Too. Some of it's just experience, some of it's how much money I've got. I'm someone that's lucky enough to purchase several sets potentially a month on some months, or a board a month for a while if I can. Okay. I have plenty of that wiggle room. Someone maybe bought a board and a key set, and then 2 years later they maybe bought something else. Like, it's different for everyone. So we also shouldn't just listen to the loudest voice in the room. I am many times the loudest voice in the room. You should never listen to just me. Play Among Us with me. You never should listen to me. I lie constantly and also tell the truth constantly. So I'm always the imposter, but I weirdly am never the imposter. So it's fine. Anyways, I think, you know what I think? I think all of us just need to take a fucking chill pill sometimes. The guy
yeah.
that just yelled in the microphone about a 3 key needs to take a fucking chill pill, just like everybody who's getting super upset.
Yeah, I mean, but like that's the thing is people get upset. Plus, I was talking about this the other day with some friends of like how sometimes people will just take things way too personally. Like if you don't like something that someone made, it doesn't mean you don't like them as a person. Like
That's that's the things we take personal are hilarious to me. Like, um, there unfortunately are some warped spacebar issues with Cafe, right? And like me getting direct messages about warped spacebars, and I was told many times I need to fix this by several individuals. I was like, okay. I did not fly to Germany and hand warp spacebars for customers. Like, okay, like, everyone calm down, okay? If they are unfunctional, GMK will replace them. They may not pay shipping to the vendor, which fucking sucks, but they have replaced keys before because they have fucked up. So, like, I don't know, just like the personal association with, oh, he's the designer, he's responsible for that. Man, I gave money to somebody. Like, I helped give money to somebody, and then they made the thing. I hope that their QC was good and I went through a reputable service, but it's not going to come out perfect. Like, my 3 on my cafe set fucking sucks, and I can't do anything about that. So, like, I mean, we're all down here, and all of us are feeling it. Okay, okay.
yeah, I mean, you're just an enthusiast, just like the person that's complaining about their warped space bars. But yeah,
Design straight space bars next time, dummy. All hex, you fucker. I love you so much.
it's totally your fault. It's totally your
Oh
fault.
God.
Which,
Sorry, I'm getting heated tonight. We're talking about cooks and spicing.
dude, I'm
Oh,
saying,
shit.
if you're complaining that much about warped space bars, if you're like dead set on getting it replaced, why not just like take 20 minutes and try to fix it? Like,
No. But
like,
no. No. Plastic once formed is completely set forever. You could never warp it back. That is a fact.
Static Age, thank you for the tier 1 for 3
All right,
months.
I can
Appreciate it.
this DDD Klein. Get constantly asked when X vendors will restock Y product. As a streamer, you're getting access. Man, I think some of it too, and as I get heated, I sometimes have to calm down because we should never attribute to malice something that can be explained by being uninformed or lack of knowledge, right? So DDD Klein, I get asked all the time about that same kind of stuff. When do you think this will come in? What do you think about that? And I'm glad that people are curious, but sometimes I think people are just asking because they have access to us. Like as a streamer that streams to 10 people, as I was corrected earlier, 10 people, um, you know, it's sometimes we just need to remember that we're the face for that person and they're asking someone they trust. So we need to take a breath sometimes. And that's our responsibility if we want to put ourselves out there like that. You know, they don't know. We were new at the hobby sometimes too. And I completely will be the first person to admit I get frustrated by things like, say, the 3 key on GMK. But it's all about its perspective is very important. So
No, for sure. Because we get that a lot too. Like when we'll talk about go through our different sponsors, and they're like, "Well, I can't buy anything from X website," and it's like, "Yeah, but bookmark it because eventually you will be able. Things are always in stock at some point, right?
mhm.
They're always doing more. Like vendors, if they are not running things constantly, if they're taking extended breaks, they're just not going to exist anymore. Like they're going to fall out of favor. This is also, while the community is growing extremely fast, it moves away from vendors pretty quick. I mean,
Yeah, dude.
what was the vendor? I can't. Why am I forgetting the name? The one that run the M65 and muted initially.
Oh
Key
yeah, but
Clack.
they just put up the other day that they are coming back soon. That was new. They updated recently.
Really?
Yeah, they just recently updated. We should go to that webpage because they just put an update. Also, I want to say to Porter Village Idiot, thank you for clipping that. I already shared it to multiple people. I'm excited to watch that when we're done. So he clipped my freak out. Woo!
Oh wow. Interesting. Key
Oh,
Clack will be reopening late September, early October. Your
yep.
order has not been fulfilled. You will get a 20% discount via email for the inconvenience. That's interesting. I wonder if
That just happened. And I wonder if they're going to just sell out of current stock and be
yes,
done because something happened. I don't know the person that was the proprietor of that,
J Chan.
but okay. So I never met or knew Jay Chan. Apparently something happened like in his personal life. So I don't know. Maybe it's we're just trying to deplete stock kind of thing. But you bet your ass I'm going to pay attention and hope to get some muted because
Yeah.
that set fucks.
Yeah, I
So
mean that's like Alhex just said in chat. If he decides to rerun muted, or
yep.
what's the essay set that he did too? That people really want. I can't remember the name of it, but he's got a couple sets that he is the rights holder to running. That if he came out and ran them again, he'd be back on the map as a vendor.
If there was a rerun of muted, I would probably buy 2 or 3 sets. Like I would just buy them all.
And I'm sure you are not alone. I
Like
would expect that to sell in
and
the
I
3 to
am not a
4,000.
so like that'd be for me to put on all the boards. So like oof. I think it's a great set. It's muted,
But yeah,
literally and metaphorically.
but I mean, he was a big vendor, and until literally just
Yep.
now, hadn't heard anything from him in a couple of years. And he had been
Yeah.
doing. There was a point where he had M65As still in stock for less money than they were flipping for on the aftermarket. Like I know
Yep.
our boy Rick. he purchased a solarized dark M65A from Keyclack less than a year ago, and it was less money than what they were flipping for used.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. I hope that we can figure out a way to expand, that we can get more manufacturers for keycaps and boards that are high quality and that can maintain, because I think that will also help with what we were talking about earlier with the in stock issue. Things will
Okay,
get made faster.
so I've had an idea.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm not the person to do this because I am a weirdo. Okay, so League of Nations, altruism, United Nations governing body with representatives from everyone. If we had like a group of individuals that could speak to one another, like that could make decisions for the good of the community in a business sense, like I don't think that that is something that would be a bad thing, because I wonder how many of our struggles is simply an issue with communication and timing, right? So I don't know. Maybe there's a like this Wilsonian ideal minus the crazy racism, um, about like, you know, good of everyone in the community that could happen.
So like an alliance, or like the Legion of Doom, but the Legion of Thok.
The Super Friends. Yeah, Keeb you in. Council of Keebs.
The Council of Keebs. I like the
Oh man,
Legion of Thok.
the Legion of Thok. Oh my god.
Plus, you can
And
make
yes,
some like
static, I
cool
am a
merch.
fucking weirdo, dude.
And then one day they'll eventually make a TV show about the group, and they'll be superheroes. Could you
Yeah.
imagine how great they would make Dixie's flowing locks if he was a superhero?
I now have this very vivid image in my brain of Garrett with his long mullet flowing in the wind as he's wearing his uh, flannel without sleeves and slightly unbuttoned in jorts next to his Jeep that has the literal America license plate on it. He's fighting bad typing everywhere. Like, oh god, told you I'm a weirdo.
That's Salvin brings up another thing of it's hard to deal with orders sometimes. Like as a maker, taking large orders is harder, but you need large orders to grow and get more machines, because machines are not cheap, and yeah, they take a good amount of capital and a lot
What?
of space.
I can't just order a full size CNC machine to do my own key manufacturing from Amazon for like $80.
Totally.
Oh shit! I
Check it
just
out.
thought I was lazy why I hadn't done that.
I mean, you might be able to, but it's not going to come out in a rectangle. It might be um, some sort of a
Oh
triangle,
shit!
maybe.
Salvin confirmed I can order his same CNC machine from Amazon for $80.
And you can learn how to use it with a um, just by reading the manual. You don't need to actually be
Yes.
trained in any way or actually do any research. Just do it. And you only need like one or two tools. You can do everything with just one or two.
Mm-hmm. Pylon 7 brings up a good point, though. As 3D printed customs get better, the one I think off the top of my head is Keyhive, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we still have an issue of not enough chefs cooking our meals for us, because, so many people were so excited to get a Nightmare that, last June or whatever, when I ordered it initially, I was going to get it in November or something. And that, or whenever the hell it was. And it was like 3 months late because like one of his printers was down and there were so many fucking orders, and you can track order status and stuff, but like it takes so much time to do it, and 3D printing is not an exact science, and it's a great value, but again, I'm still waiting. Like they're not in stock because I just don't think there's enough people that have enough capital, time, resources to do it in the hobby yet.
Yeah. Yeah. P3D is another one. They're making great
Yeah, man.
stuff. Also, Salvin says he's not trained. Listen, we know that you worked your way up. You didn't just like
Yeah,
say,
yeah, yeah. Machine go burr, and now I make keyboards. I get it. I love you, Salvin.
But no, I think there's a lot of room because we have seen a ton of like smaller like level stuff, I guess is what, like, not fancy, you know. And your keyboard doesn't have to be fancy to be cool. It can be fun and unique and be made out of
Yeah,
a, you
that's a
know, 3D
that's another
printed.
thing that pisses me off too. Oh, my keyboard has to weigh 11 pounds to signify the high level of quality it is. Man, no, weight does not equal quality. Okay, weight means more cost of materials. Okay, get out of here with that garbage. Granted, I do own a Founders Edition Iron 165. I will fully admit that, but I intentionally stripped the copper coating off of it so that I can force patina it, which I need to still do. Because it's not the weight that makes the quality of the board, it's the design and the e-coating of the white, which is perfect. Like all of these things, okay? I type on my fucking gingham just as much as I type on my crown, and it's the same amount I type on the Founders Edition Iron 165. Like they're all great boards if you build them the way that you want them for you. So this idea of quality is also a misnomer of it has to be. This board is the weirdest fucking thing I've ever typed on, and I love it. This Timberwolf. I think it's incredible. Okay? It's not the heaviest board I've ever owned. It's not the most perfect board I've ever owned, but it's weird and it's unique and it's awesome. Okay?
Yeah.
So
Well, and on the contrary, I built one of the heaviest boards I've ever messed with the other day in the S7 Elephant, and I'm not gonna lie, right after the stream, I was like, I am never touching this thing ever again because this thing is awful to type on because the front height is way too high. But hey,
yeah, that's I have a wrist rest to help with this at least a little bit, but I would love to build an elephant just to see it. You know, I'm so jealous Jay got to build that full brass elephant that was like 11 kilograms. I'm like, holy shit, a 22 or 23-pound keyboard? Are you fucking kidding me?
it's like that's a literal weapon. Like,
Yes,
like
that's.
you,
My child didn't weigh more than that until he was three probably. I don't even know how much he weighed then, but like it's crazy. It weighs more than children. It's just wild to me.
it's like if you have those desks from IKEA that are super popular that are really just like thin sheets of like NDF with cardboard in the middle, it would just like go through one of those if you if you accidentally like dropped it from a little bit. You go to put it down on your desk, it just goes through your desk.
Oh my god, you got me to do the nose thing. Pylon 7, open source cases would be, there's a lot of open source plates, right? But not a lot of open source cases. So there's also a barrier to entry there. To be candid, the reason you don't see a lot of that is because a lot of the keyboard activity is in the US, and you know, we're late stage capitalism and everybody's going to protect their own designs and make their own money. So unfortunately, unless you're one of the craziest things ever was, here's the whole files to design an Alice. Like, I love that they did that. Fucking nobody, like, and this is not a shot at Dixie, but it would be not smart for Dixie to be like, here's fucking files for the Bower. Everybody gets to make a Bower if they want. I don't think, from a business standpoint, that would be a wise decision, personally. Okay. That said, it definitely would help with accessibility. I think I agree.
Yeah. And I mean,
and they do still take money to produce. That is absolutely correct. Wilbur brings out an excellent point. Open source designs still take money to produce. However, you're definitely lowering the barrier to entry on design, right?
Exactly.
So,
but I think the big fear there too is not only the money, someone making money off of your design, but it's also like the meme of like, I made this, and then you hand it to someone, you made this.
I still can't believe that Chewie stole the squid from the Baka. What a fucking thief. Like,
blatant thievery there.
That's the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard someone accuse him of. Oh my god. Just straight up copied the Baka to make the squid. It's the same board.
It's the same thing. Did you not read?
Oh, okay, so let me back up. Okay. since all Hex is curious, there was an individual who designed a board extremely similar to the Baka, like suspiciously similar. And when questioned about it in that person's server, one of their fanboys was like, I mean, look at the squid. That's literally copied directly from the Baka. So there's no reason why your design is a problem, which was hilarious to me. Anyways,
it was pretty fun. Since then, that other board has completely changed its design. Wilba says you talk about wanting more cooks. That takes incentives such as getting paid, which I think is another thing that we were talking about, of how like there needs to be more people who are able to do this and get paid to have the incentive of like, if I go hard in the paint with keyboards, I can make this my livelihood and do something that I love and enjoy and contribute a fantastic piece to this community, because we need people with that mentality. Because while it's great that there's a bunch of people who are like, oh yeah, this is just a hobby, I made this, it's cool. That's awesome. That's cool. And there's perfect time for that. But as the hobby grows more and more, we need people who are maybe a little bit more invested as well in order to push things further.
drifting bunnies.
Like the people who
I think there's also an educational barrier too.
Yeah.
Right. And not from the standpoint of like, I don't know what board I want or anything, but like the understanding of just how things maybe in the world work. Like, you're not going to get this block of metal that was expertly designed and coated and, lovingly set into a box and shipped to you for $80. Like, that's not how the world of commerce works when you're looking at the numbers that we're looking at. So for people to expect things like the drop top for $150 or even $200 is outside of the realm of possibility. There's not enough, as Wilba said, incentive to do that if that's the price mark you're going for, because you're literally losing money. So
yeah. Well, there's also the narrative that DD Decline just touched on of like I need to know exactly what your cost is, because why are you making money? Like there's the narrative, there's certain people.
It's a hobby. Why are you making money?
Exactly.
Girl, I'm providing a service. Is my time not worth money? Because if you value your time at $0, that is a you problem. I do not value my time at $0. And I am certain that the Wilbas of the world, the Salvins, the Dixies, everyone that designs anything or takes risk or spends hours packaging your box values their time. Yes, they need to make money because that is the way that it works. Unless we live in a society that is a full-on barter system, which we don't, they need to make money.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
And Viperman GT2 brings up something. Why should the barrier be lowered for design? Many designers spend a lot of time, effort, and money to move forward in designing into the designing area of the hobby. We shouldn't be making it easier for people to start designing. And I see what you're saying, but I also look at what happened with keycaps. 2 years ago, designing a keycap set was significantly harder. There were less people doing it. And then keycaprenders.com came out, and there are a ton of people who have made some of the best keycap sets that this community has seen using that website. It opened it up to a lot of people, and we did see a crap load of interest checks, and we still do to this day for keycap sets because of keycaprenders.com. But is that to me, that's still pushing the community forward in the fact of more people are given an opportunity to get their ideas out.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree on that. I don't think, so when I say lowering the barrier of entry, I'm not saying lowering the expectation or what is acceptable levels of design. Okay, so I am not, and no offense to people that want to jump on the meme train, I am not going to fucking buy GMK Gregory. That shit does not slap. I do not like it. It is a bad set. Okay, hot take on a bad set that is a bad set. It's a bad set, by the way. And so, like, if a set works, it will work whether you are a seasoned designer or not. Like, I don't think the community's standard of what a good set is should lower. And yeah, if you want to buy Gregory, go ahead and buy it. Handerbite made MOQ. Congratulations, weirdos. Like, I, I don't. I like the idea that more people get to be heard. Like, when you lower that knowledge barrier to design, as an example, key sets, right? You get these lovely things that come out of it that everyone loves. Like, and there's a lot of trash to wade through. Let's be real. There's a whole pile in the corner of key sets that should have never been thought up and are just bad. Okay. But some really lovely gems come out of that. And the community is what filters that out. If the community wants to take one of those piles, one of those pieces of shit out of the pile and make it hit MOQ like Gregory, that's their choice to do. Okay. But I don't think that's lowering the barrier of entry. I think that's allowing more people to try.
Exactly.
It's a subtle difference, I will admit. Now, when it comes to keyboard design, I mean, you got to know that software, dog. Like, and you got to prototype, and you got to figure that shit out. That intrinsically is a much higher level barrier of entry, no matter how you want to slice it. Whatever service is provided, it is way fucking harder to design a board than it is to design a key set. And I'm not saying designing a key set is easy. Nobody fucking come after me. I'm saying keyboards are harder. Okay?
Yeah. No, for sure. And they are. And that's oh, crap, DD
Yeah, it's
Klein
another crap.
flipped it. Oh man.
Yes.
To be fair, I agree with you. I saw that, and the people that are hyped over Gregory, I'm like, am I missing something? Are we crazy?
I mean, it's a meme, which is fine. Meme. I don't care
Yeah,
about
go
you
for it.
memeing. Good for you. But god damn it, don't sit there and say it's amazing. It's crazy. It's crazy. And if it hits MOQ, which I'm sure it will, good for you, community. You did it.
Again,
I'm not buying it. But it also isn't, it doesn't hurt me being upset about it, doesn't mean shit. It doesn't
right.
hurt the community that it exists. It makes some people happy if it gets made. And who am I to shake a stick at that? Good job for fucking making people happy. That's all I care about.
Yeah. And I guess the fear too is of moving the barrier to entry of keyboard design down is, oh, we'll get crappy boards. So it's like, well, we've got some crappy boards now. Like,
does anyone want to talk about Lumina? Does anyone want to talk about modern M0110 that took 2.5 years or 25 months to get delivered? No. I mean, like,
yeah.
also, some lovely things happen. This crazy, I'm again going to use the Timberwolf as an example because it's on my desk. This crazy fucking keyboard got made. It's the designer's crazy fever dream of a thing, and it actually is good. Yeah, the layout's quirky and weird, but this thing is great. I would never put this in a class of bad keyboard. And the community said, you know what, we're going to do it. We're going to buy that thing. And you know what? There's some people that are very happy because of it. So,
Yeah.
you know, if your keycap set doesn't hit MOQ, I mean, better luck next time. The community said we don't want it.
Well, I mean,
but if it does, good for you. You get to use the thing you made.
Or maybe it takes you to go back to the drawing board and change it up a little bit. Look at Hammerhead. Excuse me. It did almost nothing. They took it off because they weren't happy with the way it was kitted. And then, what was it, like almost a year later, they reran it and it sold over 1,000 base kits?
Yeah, man. Exactly the same. Exactly. Figure it out. The community said, not like this. Not like this. and then they made it happen. Okay. Also, excellent point from D2D Klein. Hyperfuse F8 key. Rest in peace, my friends. There have been some terrible situations that happen in the community from sets that were super hyped or made by people with a reputation that could be trusted, and bad things will happen. That's life, guys. Sometimes bad shit happens. And yes, I completely agree that it does kind of hurt that all of these new sets coming up clogs the GMK pipeline. But I'm going to bring it around to the beginning of this conversation. That's why we wish there were more chefs in the kitchen cooking for us, so that we didn't have to wait so long for all these great new ideas that came out because the barrier to entry was lowered. Mm-hmm. The problem isn't that GMK is backed up because there's so many great ideas. The problem is that GMK is backed up because there are so few people to make that quality of keycap
Yeah,
in that profile. That's the issue. I wouldn't blame the symptom of the disease. I would blame the disease for causing the symptom, right?
exactly.
If that makes sense to anyone other than me.
Yeah. Type Beast says Hammerhead was also self-run, then picked up by the biggest vendor. It's not a one-to-one comparison, but I think that
That's all right.
plays. But I think that while fair plays even more into the card of they went back to the drawing board, figured it out, and then were able to make a return through novel keys, which, I mean, that's a whole thing in itself, right? Like, getting your set picked up by the biggest vendor in the community is nothing to scoff at, right? Like, not everyone's getting their set picked up by Novel Keys, Dixie, these big vendors. Also, keyboards are in fact a disease. So
they are. I am infected, and there ain't no fucking medicine for that. So,
what do you say?
Also, I just to vocalize this, I'll let you ask the question.
Oh, I was going to ask Drifting Bunny's question. What do you say to people who complain about group buy prices being too high and turn a blind eye to the aftermarket?
I'll vocalize my answer, so thank you for asking the question. Fuck off, is what I say. Group buy prices are way too high. That $500 aftermarket set of Olivia, though, is totally fucking worth it. You fuck off.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
It's just
Okay.
crazy. Man, there's so much to be like. And every time the aftermarket is such a weird spot too, because it's like, in order for the group buy model to truly exist and be to the full extent, for me personally, I think there has to be a higher value of the products on the aftermarket. I think that inherently that is something that is somewhat necessary for the group buy model to continue to sustain.
But that's the way the model would work no matter how you want to set it up. So
Right.
I don't think, like, in a typical retail setting, right? I purchase many of one thing at a very small cost and then massively inflate that cost to cover the risk and time and effort that it took to make this happen, right? Originative already does it. Okay. I know for a fact that base kit don't cost them no $180. I know that base kit don't cost them no $130. Okay. They're doing the exact same retail model that everyone who is in retail already does. They purchase it at a low cost. They have it in stock. They charge you a shit ton of money overhead for doing that for you. Right. Again, I ask you, those of you who, like me, are tired of waiting a year for keycaps, is your time valuable enough and your agony or desire enough to spend $40 extra to get it now? Mine is yes. So that's why the aftermarket exists. For me, the aftermarket will never go away unless the hobby itself dies.
Well, and
if the hobby itself dies, fine. And yeah, those aftermarkets are going to fluctuate.
Yeah.
But it will always, always, always be higher. People will always be there to make money.
Yeah, and there will be. I think the big thing is, and Deed says it, of not triple, quadruple, quintuple, sextuple, I think is a little bit excessive, but it is what it is. It's an open market. People sell for what they want, and as long as someone's willing to spend two grand plus on a board, then they're going to sell for that.
If you got fuck you money, you spend it. Go off, king. You do you, or queen, whatever. I don't care. You do you.
I'm here for the extras. True. I was really bummed because I kind of wanted to get an extra of Olivia light. I wanted to get it, and
Ravenous.
I woke up late and they were gone, and I was like, oh,
Ravenous.
Okay. I thought they had like thousands of these.
Literally. Well, I mean, Mike himself, all told, because those numbers include other proxies, extras, and all of that stuff. Mike probably had around 1,000 base kits if you combine both, right?
Yeah, that's still insane.
But sell out in 2 minutes.
I thought that they would at least be up for like an hour. I mean, look at the sets that they've had in the past. Olive was up for a while. Metropolis was up for a while. Vaporwave was up for a while. Like, it was crazy.
It's just, it's the way it's going to be, man. Until the capacity can match the demand, it will always be like that. As long as the hobby stays big. And if I'm a smart vendor and I'm a smart manufacturer, here's the bow in the conversation. Because there are not enough cooks in the kitchen. There are not enough chefs in the kitchen. Okay. And because if I'm a smart manufacturer and I'm a smart vendor, I don't want my supply to equal my demand or get even fucking close. So if I'm going to make good money, I want to limit that fucking supply. And whether that's because I'm doing it for quality or I can't ramp up, like, where's my incentive if the money train is going to continue to take me to Awesome Town no matter what I do? Like, why would I change?
Oh,
Anyways.
man. I don't. Hopefully someone
getting hot. I'm just going to take that off. I'm getting hot.
Yeah, hopefully someone smarter
I
than
need a haircut.
us can figure it out. And
dude, I promise you, there's 53 people watching right now. 52 of them are smarter than me, and I'm the 53rd in chat. So that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about time to get into keyboard of the week.
Yes, keyboard of the week.
So, if you're not familiar with this, keyboard of the week.
Welcome to keyboard of the week.
Oh, we're gonna hear your
intro.
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna use it. I use it every time we go to the actual scene. But because the last couple weeks,
I always show up after everybody posts all their pictures. I'm like, shit, I missed it.
If you are not familiar with keyboard of the week, every week we go through our we allow people to post pictures of their keyboards in our Discord channel. There's a channel named Keyboard Pictures. We go through all of them. We talk about them. And then afterwards, we pick our favorites and then let chat decide which will be keyboard of the week. And the winner gets a special role in the Discord. Your picture becomes the banner on Discord, as well as I think we're going to start posting it on Instagram as well, which will be pretty cool. We'll make sure to tag you in the pic as well. Also, Chewy, you can post a pic. We'll judge your board. But yeah, so get your pictures.
I know you are. I'm sorry, man. He's waiting on me for his pic.
Yeah, we will ask. We're not going to post a picture of someone's board on Instagram without their explicit permission.
No, so while people are posting their pictures, I want to walk through kind of what's going on. Deeds here has sent me his Lily 58. He wanted me to do some SMD soldering, which honestly, the whole build went fine. I didn't have any issues whatsoever with it that I could determine. The board does not work correctly. I cannot figure out why. So I have ordered a brand new one to replace it, and we'll remake it. It's not here yet, and I feel very bad about it. He has been exceptional about the situation, but I still feel bad. So, and I know you're just messing, but I love you, and I wanted to explain. On record, I messed it up, or it was bad in the beginning. But either way, it was in my possession when it went bad. So I bought a new one.
You're making it right. You're being a solid
girl. I gotta make it right. I can't leave it bad. Come on.
You're being a stand-up guy, as Gnarly Charlie for you says.
Oh,
but I think it's time. It's time to start.
Are we ready to look?
We're gonna start.
You put it up.
I want to show off this this first one. So,
okay.
Here's the. Let me make sure I'm on the right transition. Here we go.
Welcome to Keyboard of the Week, brought to you by Mechs on Deck.
All right. First up, this was posted earlier today. This is Kool-Aid Papa's brushed copper and matte black acrylic board. Looks to be a 65%. I'm not sure what board this actually is, but this thing looks pretty sweet.
It does. I didn't. Are we submitting the built board or the unbuilt board? Because there are two lovely keyboards here.
I'm gonna go the unbuilt one because this is what we have. He makes them himself.
I love the curves with the stacked. Like, that is awesome. Well done. It looks great. I want one of those. I want one of those actually.
Yeah, I
As
haven't
long as I can have
seen
it at some angle, some degree.
I haven't
You
seen
know?
a matte black like that on acrylic in quite a while.
That with the copper. You remember earlier when I said Gregory does not slap? This skips slaps and goes to fucks. This right here, fucks. Okay? So, yeah, I would own that. And I sorry. Sorry.
Oh.
Okay. Anyways, I think it's great. I have no comment other than this board fucks.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I can't wait to see it once it's built. All right. Next up,
I almost broke Eric, you guys.
we have a budget build Prime E with a P3D case, something we were talking about earlier, and is a regular occurrence on keyboard of the week. Koala switches, which I actually haven't had the chance to try out yet, but I want to. Lubed and filmed with Tex ADA keycaps. Interesting.
I don't know if I've ever seen a photo in the wild with these keycaps on it. I can't think of a time when I've seen these. This looks awesome to me.
Yeah, dude, this looks great. Also, I love the texture of the case. You know?
Yes.
Like,
completely agree.
It doesn't even when we're talking earlier about 3D printed cases, this does not even look like it's 3D printed from this photo. Like, this looks like it was
powder coat.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it's just like it's a good photo too. Like, I mean, we could talk about composition, but the photo itself has a lot of detail, which I appreciate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Even the stain on the desk mat, the coffee stain, I like it. Which for those of you looking is just below the function key in the bottom right of the board. And with the matte, like the contrast for me is very great.
Oh yeah,
I like this board a lot. And the spherical topped keycaps could really get my fingers nudged in there.
He's got like the old school vibes with the those keycaps as well as the cable, with the new school layout of it being the Prime E, the like 40s Alice. It's a pretty sick little build.
I think it's great.
What do we got next, Mr. Langlandia?
Ooh, this right here is our left-handed candy bar with Novel Keys creams. Wait, Hellbent typed novel creams. So I don't know if that is a take on a Novelia with cream stems or something like that, or if they just didn't type Novel Keys creams fully, but I'm going to assume creams. Violet on cream, GMK Violet on cream, and tons of bad luck. Tons of bad luck caps on the whole numpad. I mean, it's a cool shot.
Dude, it is. Dude, bad luck. Bad luck. We talked about it last week when we were doing our top 4. Someone asked artisans, and bad luck is my favorite. I am very jealous of you for having won that many. And 2, can I steal the Taro one, please?
I reached out to, it's Chad, right? And I was like, hey, I really would like to see if we couldn't work out a collaboration with Grain, because I think the umbrella is perfect. And he never got back to me.
Yeah,
I'm sad.
I was really upset about that. I was hoping for a Grain bad luck. I thought that would have been the icing on the
red
cake.
umbrella on a sea of green would have been lovely. But no.
Hey, sometimes it happens.
Happen, you know?
But this
That's
is,
okay,
if I were to get a candy bar, this is how I would use it. Left-handed.
A left?
Yeah, because I'm left-handed.
Yeah, you're a weirdo.
Also, I like the idea of it doesn't make my 60% any wider for me, like when I'm playing games. Because for me, only the right side is what matters in the extension of layouts.
Yeah, because of your mouse.
Yeah. So
one gripe I have. I want someone to do the candy bar layout one more time and give me one more column. You give me 100% functionality of a keyboard, and then conspicuously leave out quotes and right bracket. I get every other key I need without a layer because F keys are stupid and no one uses them in the first place. But those two keys, really? Really? Can you try? Could you try? Please?
Oh man.
Sorry,
Sometimes,
I'm feisty tonight.
hey, sometimes it'd be like that. Sometimes you gotta get the spice out. You gotta unleash the beast. I think that's someone's tagline. I don't know who. Someone in chat might know.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Sounds like a Jean-Claude Van Damme thing.
Next up, we've got Delphin's G80 1800 with some random keycaps. Very classic. This is a classic board. This looks cool. You've got like, it looks like at least 2 different types of keycap sets on there.
It's
Possibly
probably more. It's probably more, I would guess. Because I'm confused by the 5 key. I don't know what white on black set would have the 5 key and the compatibility of the G80, unless that's true to this keyboard, which mine doesn't have that. So I have a dirty one on the floor I'm going to harvest.
It may just be like the way the photo is, but it looks like some of the keys are like more of a vintage white,
Yeah,
like the
like
beige, but then some of them are more of like a true white.
I think it's just the picture though, because it seems to be a gradient where all the keys towards the right of the side are more beige, and then as it comes toward the source of light, it's brighter. I think it could just be lighting. Also, that question mark key really bothers me because the question mark is so low and close to the forward slash. Like, what's happening there, buddy? What's going on?
How about that 3 key though, you know? How's that hashtag treating you?
I mean, thank God it's still off, but still better than GMK. Well done. Even though this is obviously GMK molds. So, no, I mean it's a good board, right?
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to say? Interesting choice of where the accents go. Okay, so it's 2. Only 2 keycap sets.
So next up, this is Chewy's board. It's the ripped off 60 with GMK Olivia.
Well, see, this is just unrealistic because the white balance on this is so bad it looks like a blue set of some kind.
What was it? I think I sent a picture to you or in
Yeah,
the
you
chat.
sent me a picture of Mizu that looked like Cafe.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious.
Oh man.
It's so silly. This is Cafe though, on a ripped off 60. Wow.
Yeah.
This is nice.
But in all seriousness, this is Chewy's Baka 60 GMK Mizu with the accent kits as well as his Lividity Obsidian 1 Artisan. This looks amazing.
lot of people are very jealous of that artisan.
Yeah.
Very jealous of that artisan.
Yeah. Well, and I've got the 1 of 1 Rookie of the Year artisan with the bleeding eyes. So
yeah. In other news, you can get bent. That's fine. Okay.
The wrist rest does complete the set here. Does.
Yeah, I like it. I it's a good wrist rest. You know, it's your daily driver. It's your standard, your beater of a wrist rest.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Elevision's Orthochu. Oh yeah, it's the Pikachu thing.
Orthochu. Yep.
From Low Key Keyboards with yellow inks, EBT Vaporwave, S-Craft, and Systematic Artisans. This is very Pokemon.
Oh yeah, it's the Pokemon board. Vaporwave slaps, dude. I like that set a lot. I'm really sad I didn't get it.
Dude, I slept on it.
I'm mad.
I think a lot of people did. This thing looks awesome. That is a actual brass plate, right?
Yep.
I think that looks so freaking cool that the brass extends all the way to the tail and it doesn't just like cut off on the plate.
Yeah, that was a clever way to go because it really ties the entire thing as one whole piece, as opposed to here's the keyboard and a fun tail we did as a cutesy one-off. Here's this whole thing that we did as like a proper. I mean, it's rarer to see outside of acrylic boards, but like a sandwich mount, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this is well done for me, and this is my only critique of this would be that Vaporwave itself feels disconnected from the whole theme of the board. Even though it's good, I would have chosen something different personally.
Dude,
And I would put Vaporwave on something different.
could you imagine Vile Bloom on this? Or the new one?
Right.
Oof.
I mean, it's Dreamweaver. Is that the right one?
Yeah. I think that's the dark one.
Yeah, Vile Bloom on this would be pretty great, I think. But it looks great still, no matter how you want to mess with that. So
no, it absolutely does look fantastic.
okay. All right. Ooh, interesting. Someone posted their iPhone.
Dude, yeah, we've got the iPhone 65 with dual shot creams lubed with 205 grade 0. Dude, I'm excited. I've got dual shot. It's actually at Chewert's place right now. Hopefully get it at some point here soon. But man, it looks great.
The grays of dual shot make my heart smile. I don't always enjoy multicolored text or icons mods, right? I do like this though, and I will fully admit that I was wrong in group by being like, well, I'm just going to completely dismiss this. I think this is, to quote Scott W., our keycap rankings friend, I think this is a key set that I like on other people's boards a lot, but don't want on my own necessarily. Like, I like this here, but I can't think of what board I would use this on or keep it on.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you feel, man?
I mean, I had the option, so Chewy for Christmas gave me the opportunity to get into a key set group buy, and my options were between Olivia and dual shot, and I chose dual shot because the PlayStation holds a special place in my heart from my youth, and also I think aesthetically I like this set a little bit more, in all honesty. And I kind of knew that Olivia was going to sell a crazy amount, and I was like, oh, I can probably get an extra. Obviously, that's not happening.
You tried, and that went so well.
But you know what? There was a hell of a lot more of Olivia than there was dual shot. And
yeah,
I think I would be kicking myself even more if I was sitting here today with Olivia and looking at this picture and not knowing I had dual shot on the way.
6 months of slap and daw base.
That is fair, man.
Bantership, thank you for the 6 months. But I think this looks great. Someone said, I can't remember who it was. Let me see if I can find it. Static Age says, if Sony made an N64 controller, I think that perfectly describes this board.
Yeah, solid. Also, just a quick note. I bet that one Brody is extremely happy with this keyboard. Not only because of the lovely keycap set and the yellow that screams awesome, but the fact that he has the best sounding switch in weirdly the best sounding top mount board I've ever in my life touched. The space sounds unnaturally good. I bet that board is crazy awesome.
Would you say that it slaps?
I would say that it likely slaps, yes. I would in fact say that board slaps. Slaps my ears with its lovely audio goodness. Sorry, I'm in a weird mood, guys.
He is in-game Space 65 for him. Just want the novelties kits now. Yeah, I need to get the novelties as well. The arrow keys would look fantastic on this. Next up, we've got Scott W's Jerkin 30. Is that what it says? Yeah, that's...
The name of this board is the greatest name ever because obviously it's a gherkin.
Yeah, so I was like,
right?
wait, It's not.
Yep.
It's not a gherkin. Well, it is, but it's
But
not
it's
quite.
ergo, right? It's better for your hands. So we're using the Jerkin 30.
But this
Utterly
is
unusable.
utterly unusable retooled MX blacks with Oompa Loompa stems and SA snow caps. How unusable is this board? Because I can't remember which board it was last week, but there was the one that was like literally only the keys that he needs. Yeah, from Zoo.
Yep.
That with Bingsu, where it was like basically a similar. Excuse me.
So I don't know if you know CJT, but he regularly uses the Alpha 28, which the Alpha 28 is smaller than this. And he uses it for work.
Well, was it the Pain 27? Wasn't that the one that was like literally just alphas and nothing else?
And then no spacebar. The Alpha, the Alpha 28 has a spacebar, which you press for space and hold for backspace. Oh, so good.
How many times does he accidentally backspace something by just holding on the spacebar?
I don't even know, man. It's got to be incalculable.
Yeah. I mean, this is just, I get the whole minimalization of your things, but like, let's be real, your freaking phone is almost bigger than this keyboard. Like, at what point is it too small?
I want to talk about the lovely shot that he's provided us with, though, with the Australian wildfire desk mat where the tree is growing out of the center of the board. Clever placement. I think I love that a lot.
Definitely hits the aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Next up, we have a pretty cool little board. This is a KBD Fans 5 degree with Trash Pandas and PBT Vaporwave making another appearance here. Got the new pink Model O, which I know people are pretty excited about, as well as the Mito laser wrist rest.
I think this is a clean build, man. You know, a lot of value here. Like just all day.
Yeah, I mean,
I like the gamer set.
Yeah, this looks great for, you look at this and we've had a couple boards on here that were obviously a very, very expensive board. This is not crazy expensive, but still super high quality for what you get. Like, this is value town right now. Also, Vaporwave PBT. It still looks so good. Like,
yeah, it really does, man.
Like, even though the legends to me are a little bit kind of wonky, like not like the actual font or typeface. We're classy gentlemen, so we say typeface.
Typeface of the keycaps, sir.
It still looks great. Like, the aesthetic of this is awesome. Like,
yeah. Plus, if you total up all of the things on just the keyboard, you're building that for what? $150?
Yeah.
Like, that's a hell of an excellent budget board, no matter how you want to slice that. I take issue with traditional true ANSI, and we gotta fix that mod pipe.
Oh yeah, true.
The alpha pipe. That said, I don't have any problems with this. I think this is great.
Yeah, all I'm saying is you're not getting the full value by using full right shift. That's like kind of an unnecessary addition.
This Timberwolf is the first board I have ever once built that had a full right shift. And only because Mike said, I want as many 2U stabs as you can fit on the board. Oh, he didn't include a mod pipe in the set. Okay. All right, I'm going to yell at him.
You got to yell at Mike then, because that's his fault. And make him support split backspace as well, because I don't think it supports...
Take it back. Take it back. Sorry.
But no, this is an awesome board. Well,
I think that's it. I think that's the list, Daddy.
I think that's it. You're
Okay.
the guest here, so you get to pick what is your pick for the keyboard of the week.
I am going to select Static's Budget Build Prime E with koalas and Tech's 88K caps.
Solid decision. So let's get back to that one here. And I think I have to go with the one that was right under it. The Lefty candy bar with Novelties creams.
I don't dare choose Chewert's ripped off 60 with Olivia because, I mean, that feels a bit like wrong. For me, it was either going to be Statics or Rick Visions. So I'm sorry, Elevision, Ellie, Keed Noob, whatever you want to say. She goes by every name under the sun. So
Just getting the poll.
he's getting the poll ready, guys. We love poll.
See. You know when you accidentally hit caps lock and you don't realize it?
Oh yeah, I did a whole typing test with caps lock on, and I ended up typing 2 words per minute. Scuffed stream. If you enjoy this, come join Scuffed Landia sometime.
Yes.
It's all bad.
Yeah,
it's all bad.
Shout it out. Where can they find more from you, Mr. Langlandia?
You'll figure it out. It's fine.
Well, he just typed a heart in chat, and if you haven't yet, click on that name, head on over to his Twitch profile, give him a follow, throw him a sub. It's September. You can save like 20% or 30%. He's doing some streams. Are you streaming this week?
Yeah,
what are you building?
I have to do some work this week. I got some care packages in the mail. So I received no fewer than 1,000 switches to lube.
Odd.
And 6 keyboards to build. So I may have to do a marathon stream and just do a lot. The one thing, and I'll promo this, potentially Friday. I'm thinking I will do this for Friday's content, is I need to build an angelic chimera that will be wearing cafe. But in order to earn the right to build that, Iwane sent me a very cheap toper board that I have to lube for him if I want to build the chimera. So he's punishing me because he loves me. So I have to lube a toper board, which I'm genuinely upset about. But as a reward, I get to build one of the prettiest things to ever come out of keyboards. So come join me for Captain Struggle as he leads the army into battle.
All aboard the struggle bus. Choo choo. Let's go,
Admiral
baby.
Struggle of the fleet of fail. Okay. Sponsors, talk about them. Poll is up.
I do want to give a quick shout out to those sponsors. Switchmod.net/Mechs on deck. Head on over there, get 4% off any in-stock item. They run lube drops like every day. It's like 50 units per day. As well as I think beta just finished up. So go on over to mechsondeck.dixiemech.com. Check out SA DualShot if you enjoyed the way GMK DualShot looked on that Space 65 and you want it in its taller, more shiny brethren. Go ahead and head on over there and pick it up. And then next up, we've got Project Keyboard, mechsondeck.project.link. Keep your eyes out for GMK Noir starting here in a couple weeks, designed by the wonderful Apiary Keyboards. So keep an eye out for that. As well as head on over there because they do have some pre-orders for sets that have already ran. So if you're looking to get Perestroika or Sumi or maybe something else that they've got, you can probably pick it up and get yourself in there before it runs out. And then last but not least, Canon keys, head on over to canonkeys.com/Mechs on deck. GMK Uru is still running till the end of the month, as well as at Mizu. At Mizu is doing insane numbers, so you don't want to miss out on that. And then, of course, as always, shout out to our partners, Zap Cables. Get some of the best cables in the business. Type Beast. Go to typebia.st. Sign up for their newsletter coming out every couple weeks. You want to get in on that. And then Smith and Rune, keep your eyes peeled for the Iron 180. Prototypes are coming soon, or they may be in. I'm not actually 100% sure.
No, so Iron 180 prototypes may or may not be delayed because of me.
Way to go, Langlandia. But keep your eyes peeled because they're coming soon.
Yeah, so I will tell you that they did do one or several attempts at the pink that I've ordered for my prototype. And they did not share a picture because it, quote, brought them shame. So they are trying again. And I may change my color.
Well, then, that is definitely an interesting situation. But you know what? Keep in tune with what's going on over at smithrune.com because they've got some pretty freaking sweet merch, as well as the Iron 180 will be running soon. Not exactly sure when, but it will be running some point here in the near future, and it's going to be fantastic. Like, the Iron 165 is arguably my favorite board. So yeah, I can't wait to hopefully get in on one of the 180s. But Mr. Langlandia, it looks like you have won. You are the victor of the keyboard of the week.
Get shit on.
In addition to Static Age, congratulations. The Prime E with the Tex ADA caps is the winner. Congratulations. We'll get everything updated tonight.
I mean, he will. We won't.
Yeah.
He will. He's the adult, not me.
I mean,
I just come in here and shout about threes. So
now you make me want to go back and look at all my sets and look at the threes.
You will find 100% of your GMK sets have a fucked up hash sign that is sideways and just too far south.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking at my Hyperfuse Origins, which is my oldest set, and then, yeah, it's definitely
every single one.
Definitely a little bit rough. Kool-Aid Papa, thank you for the tier 1. Appreciate it, my dude. Hope you had a fantastic night. Also, I think both Lang and I really enjoyed your board with the matte black acrylic. The thing looks fancy.
Well done.
So, but
I think it's great, man.
I think that's going to about wrap it up for us tonight. Again, I appreciate you, Mr. Langlandia, for coming and hanging out with me tonight on such short notice while Mr. Chewart Little is down with the sickness. So
to speak.
But yeah, check out Langlandia here on Twitch. He said he'll be streaming. You're going to be streaming Friday?
Yeah, I'm going to be streaming Friday. I may start earlier. I may stay later. I'm not sure, man. We'll see. I don't even know these days. It's a whole thing.
You're just kind of, going with the flow.
I'm really not looking forward to lubing Topra because the intention behind purchasing the very inexpensive case is that it is a nightmare to open. So at a certain point, it may get yeeted. I'm not sure. But I wish there had been a camera because I hate the sound of Topra. I'm lukewarm about the feeling of Topra. The sound drives me up a wall. So I brought it out of the box. He sent it in and I pressed some keys. And I wish that someone had been like recording me because I was immediately aware of the fact that I was making a face. I was like, oh, I actually made a face when I typed on it. I wasn't quite aware of it. So it's been like a whole thing because I want to build the Chimera, but I don't want to lube that board.
Sometimes you have to go through the pain in order to get the pleasure. That's why it's pain and pleasure, not pleasure
Well,
and pain.
that's just being alive.
Hey.
On that sour note.
On that note, as I did say, I don't think we will be live tomorrow, so probably come hang out with us on Saturday. If not, we'll be back again on Tuesday. Things are kind of up in the air while Chewy deals with his illness. So throw him some kind words because he's not feeling well. But yeah, is there anyone specifically that you want to host, Mr. Langlandia?
No, not. I don't know who we would raid or host. Do we are you continuing the tradition of doing non-keyboard people?
I mean, we can do non-keyboard. We can do keyboard. It's up. It's up.
I don't
in the
know. I
air.
feel like when was the last time you guys raided Josh, I am me, you are you?
It's been a minute, and I was thinking the same thing.
I feel like either he or Merlin. So I would be happy with either. And I will let you choose.
I'm gonna go with Josh. I am me, you are you. Fantastic individual, super, super knowledgeable, and just overall incredible person and great to talk to. Check him out. He is building a Rain, with box whites, which is a switch that very popular.
Very rare at this point.
Very, very rare. Was very popular in 2018, but now not so much. So check it out. You may find a switch that you want to try out. So go hang out with him, say hi, and we will see you soon. For Chewy, buy a fucking switch tester.